I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to know when it's time to move on from something and create a new reality. Because the thing is that what I've noticed is that in the evolution of consciousness, in the evolution of your life, which is consciousness, what will happen is that there's going to be almost always, because you're constantly evolving, finding better ways to be in the world, finding more conscious ways to be in the world, to find more sustainable ways to be in the world. It's almost like what begins to happen is that something that you used to do just is not going to be working for you anymore. It's just not going to work. And you're going to have to let that go. But your ego is going to be like, no, I really, really want to hold on to this. I really want to do this. It's like, this is what I need. But it's like, actually, you know deep in your heart, it's just the past. And it has nothing to do with who you're becoming in this moment. It has everything to do with who you used to be, but who you're becoming, you know it's out of alignment with that. And what do? Of course, there's fear. But this fear, what we need to learn to do with this fear is know when it's time to not believe in that old way of thinking anymore and to become something different. And I'm going to be sharing with you in this video exactly how to do this so that you know when it's time to move on. You know exactly when, and let's talk about that in this video. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, there's two ways to do that right now. The first way is through single sessions, and the second way is through email coaching, and the details for both of those things will be down below. Now, the first thing that I want to share with you in this video is to understand that anything, ultimately speaking, that lowers your state, whether it's a thought form that you're thinking on repeat, whether it's maybe some type of structure or plan in your life in whatever area that we're talking about, whatever the case is, the truth is that you gotta start to see that if it's making you feel terrible, then that's an indicator that it's not working. Something that one of my older mentors would always tell me is, if it works, then keep doing it. If it doesn't work, then stop doing it. You know, that's just the ultimate, one of the simple rules in life. And of course, that's very general, but understand that if you can start to see that you don't always need to be feeling like you have to be attached to what it is that you're doing and forget about how you feel, just forget about my state completely. It's like, no, actually, you realize, like, okay, if this is lowering my state, something needs to change. And what you want to do with that information is realize that you don't need to keep doing that thing anymore. At that point, it's just a belief system, isn't it? Like, if you get to the point in your life where you're doing something and it just genuinely makes you feel terrible, despite maybe you've been in this thing, whatever you're doing, maybe you're doing something, maybe you're being some type of way for who knows how long. Maybe there's a lot of time attached to it. There's lots of time. You put in lots of time into this, but it's like, okay, when do you tell when do you get to the point in your life where no matter how long you've been in connection with something, no matter how long you've been doing something, no matter how much you have invested in it, if it makes you feel absolutely terrible, and I'm not talking like, oh yeah, sometimes, you know, you feel a little bit like uncomfortable, like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking like just dedicating your overall attention, paying attention to this thing or this thought form is just making you feel absolutely terrible. It's making you just feel so bad, right? It's just lowering your state completely. That's a huge sign that it may be time to just let it go. Now, of course, we have to consider here, maybe sometimes it's just a natural part of the process. Maybe you're feeling discomfort. Maybe something is not working out exactly how you intended to receive. There has to be a lot of discernment here to be like, okay, is it genuinely something that makes me feel terrible overall, no matter, like, it's just in all areas, terrible, terrible, terrible. Like, even if you take a break or whatever, even if you, you know, you've tried everything, right? And it just makes you feel terrible, it might be time to let it go. But maybe you just know it's a natural part and you don't need to let it go, a natural part of the process, because what you're experiencing is just natural, you know, maybe some challenge as you're going through something. But if you know it's not that, and it's just lowering your state no matter what you've tried, no matter, you know, all these different areas, it's time to just let it go. It's a possibility that it's time to let it go. Of course, you never know for sure. By consulting with somebody, sometimes you have to just really tune into yourself. And you can ask people as well, but sometimes it's an internal thing. Now, the second thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to know when it's time to move on from something and create a new reality is that it doesn't feel truly right. It just feels like wrong to you in every single way. Like, it's just, whatever that thing is, whatever we're talking about here, it almost feels like, I don't even know how to explain it, because I'm trying to describe here something that your consciousness just knows, right? It's the consciousness that knows. It's the intelligence. It's just like, you just kind of know, like, okay, this decision is not going to be good for like anybody. Like, you just know, it's like, wait, this is not going to be good for me. It's not going to be good for my family. It's not going to be good for, as many people as I can think of. And it's just like you just feel, and you have a knowing. It's also like a knowing that it's just not right. It's absolutely not right. That's a huge sign that it's time to move on from that thing. Because if something feels wrong, maybe even it goes against your moral codes, maybe it goes against just, what you believe to be true. Maybe it goes against what you want to believe to be true. Because here's the thing, is that in the evolution of consciousness, you're changing your belief systems. So if you're changing your belief systems, there's going to come a point where you're evolving into a different belief system, a more upgraded belief system, something that is more conscious, something that is more sustainable. And in my personal experience, consciousness and sustainability are completely connected, because it's the intelligence, it's the consciousness that kind of knows, like, wait, there's a better way to do this, or there's a potential better way, and there's the openness, that possibility of there being a better reality. And usually it involves not just a reality that's just for you, it's for people that are around you as well, to help others, so that we can all benefit from this decision that you're making, right? So that everybody can benefit, right? And you feel like that continuing to do something doesn't feel right because it's out of alignment with this new version of yourself that you're becoming. It might be time to let that thing go. Because, like, you know what? You got to have that discernment. Like, wait, my mind is attached to this thing. And of course, your mind created something that maybe was useful in the past. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it's wrong. But you're shifting into a different energy that just feels, you could say, more preferable. That's a good word. Preferable. Because it's not that it's wrong necessarily in the bigger picture, but it feels wrong to you. It's just something that you don't want anymore, right? So there's that discernment. It exists. It's okay that it exists. But on another level, it's like, no, wait a second. I can't continue to do this. You know what I mean? So it's just a little bit of that, like, awareness, neutrality, but there's also, like, from that neutrality, you want to make a change. Okay, so to conclude this video, what I want to share with you, the final point in this video, is that when you do something else, when you do maybe some other activity or some other way in the world, or maybe you're just operating, in some different way, focusing on a different activity, talking with just something different, right? You're talking maybe with, whatever it is, like, you're, different person, I was going to say, but the reason I'm hesitating is because it doesn't matter, right? Well, no matter what it is, if you shift into a different energy, and it just feels so much better, like so much better to be that way in that moment, right? It just feels so much better to be that way in comparison to being some other way. It just makes sense. It feels like your mind and your heart are connected, right? If you're doing something and being some type of way and your heart and your mind feel connected, you feel in flow, you feel like it just makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, I'm trying to use words to explain it, but it's like, it almost just makes sense. Like, it makes sense. And it doesn't just feel right, it also, like, it makes sense. It's like, yes, this actually makes sense. And it actually makes so much sense that it almost like would be totally going against my natural intelligence to do otherwise. If that's how you feel, then that thing that contradicts you doing this thing, it might, that might be a sign that it's time to let go of that other thing, because it's out of alignment with, again, that new thing that you're becoming. So this is the game of contrast, right? Contrast is the greatest teacher, because what contrast will show you is that when you're doing one thing, it makes you feel type of way and you don't like that. And when you're going through that negativity, it can sometimes seem like the end of the world, like, oh my gosh, right? And all these types of emotions. But one thing that you'll get from that is contrast. You'll get contrast, and you'll get this experience that will show you exactly what is unwanted, so that now you can have more clarity and more vision, and have a stronger desire from a space of neutrality to become this new thing, because you really know what is unwanted, and you know what is unwanted to such a large degree that it becomes a no-brainer to focus on what is wanted. And that's when you know that when you're focusing on something that is wanted, and that unwanted thing becomes so obviously clear that you don't want to be that type of way anymore, that's a huge sign that it's time to move on to and create a new reality, to let go of that thing. Okay, so I hope these 3 points were valuable for you, and with that I conclude this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, there's 2 ways to do that right now. The first way is through single sessions, and the second way is through email coaching, and the details for both of those ways to get in contact with me will be down below. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.